Hello and welcome to the D365 Insights podcast brought to you by Source and Connect. Today is episode 13, the full AI journey, enterprise, work and everyday life. We are welcoming Dwayne Lynch. Welcome to the podcast, Dwayne.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you? You well?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Bit tired. It's Monday, but you know what? We'll get through it.
Yeah.
We'll get through it together.
Early morning Monday podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, congrats for turning up for that. Um, so Dwayne, I've known for many years, senior program manager in the Microsoft finance and customer transformation space. Really excited to have you on, Dwayne. I'll launch in with the first question to wake us both up. So you've been on a personal journey with AI over the last couple of years. Can you tell us a bit about this and what sparked that shift for you?
So do you know what it is? It was more around, when you don't quite understand something, when there's kind of a new technology coming and you don't quite understand something. And I always kind of feel that there are two ways to go about it. You can kind of block it all out and think, do you know what? Don't know what it is. It's just a buzzword. Don't worry about it. Or you can just educate yourself about it. And I kind of chose to go with the latter. Obviously, there's the industry that we're in. It's quite important to understand it anyway. But I just thought, do you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Educate yourself, and actually something really, really kind of interesting can come out of it. And
Mhm.
that's definitely what happened. I've just made sure I've launched into courses and books and seminars and videos, and yeah, it's kind of quite revolutionary, as we all know, to be fair.
Yeah, so you're a bit of an AI geek then.
A bit, just a bit.
Okay. So from your perspective inside Microsoft and Microsoft D365, why is AI now impacting every layer of life from enterprise and to the home?
So, I mean, there are just so many things that I guess typically AI has always been used for that we're only kind of hearing about now. So, for example, I worked with Transport for London way back when, about 10 years ago or so, and all of the kind of congestion charge ANPR cameras are using optimal character recognition. And they have been for ages. And that's kind of just an element of AI that we didn't really brand as that. And then I guess when you get closer to present day, we've obviously been in the Dynamics and AX space. We've been using things like invoice processing engines and A extension and things like that. That's using OCR and all sorts of AI to recognize what an invoice looks like and make sure that it's being put in the right queue and we've always been using that. And then if I think about things like supply chain, where we need to be working on ways to recommend how we replenish stock, when are we going to get in new widgets and new kind of items for the shelf. Again, for years we've been working with AI to provide the best way to do that, and it's almost kind of educating myself has helped me understand history a little bit more, as well as where we're going. And obviously we're now in a space where AI is being used for really quite crucial customer insights. So to understand, so as well as F&O, I do a lot of work obviously in the customer transformation space, and the absolute importance of understanding the journey that a customer has been on, the things that they've bought, the articles that they've engaged with, the emails that they've clicked on, where they've clicked on a screen, all of that information being used to really drive how to behave and interact with a customer. And
Mm.
some of those technologies that we're seeing in certainly in Microsoft, in Salesforce and other technologies as well, is absolutely fundamental to the way that not only we work at an enterprise level, but kind of as customers we are treated in
Yeah.
a good way to make it more personalized for ourselves. So kind of leaning into that, I think is crucial. Really understanding that journey has been really, really helpful for me, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting you say that, it's actually been happening for years because I didn't know that. To me, AI is quite a new thing. So when you're working at Transport for London, so how long ago was that they've been using these kind of tools?
I mean, forever. So I started at Transport for London in 2007, and while it probably wasn't dubbed AI at that time,
Yeah.
they'd been using OCR as a mechanism for understanding and for recognizing license plates as they come in and out of the congestion charging zone or the low emission zone. And I'm sure there are other aspects of AI that we've just always been using, but just we've never really dovetailed it as that. And it wasn't
Yeah.
until I did a course probably this time last year, the Microsoft AI fundamentals, that it all came together in
Yeah.
terms of kind of the OCR stuff and the facial recognition that, you've got your phone and you look at your phone and it recognizes based on certain patterns. And I was just like, crikey, we've been using this for ages. When you go onto Netflix and for some reason it's decided that Sarah Moody wants to see all of these different types of shows, that's not that's not by accident. That's based on your viewing patterns and
Mm.
things that you've interacted with and stuff like that. And it's, I just I find it really incredible and interesting that the things that we're learning about in the future are things that we have been using for a long time, and it's just that
Yeah.
we're packaging them in a different way, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in your work with large organizations, especially those using D365, how are you seeing companies move beyond traditional AI use cases?
So what I'm seeing at the moment is a lot around that customer insights in particular.
Mm.
Data is key at the moment, and where companies are really getting quite smart is, okay, well, we've got all of this data that we've collected about either our customers or our suppliers or people that we do business with. Do they work in a certain way, or are there certain trends that we are able to gain insights from that are going to help us be more efficient in the way that we do business? I've been on a project recently where we have done a D365 customer engagement transformation with Palantir. And Palantir was really quite crucial in understanding different trends and different events that are happening in the world, essentially, and being able to kind of synthesize those in something that the client can use quite well. Really quite revolutionary piece of work. And what it's doing essentially is just taking all of the data that we provide it and really kind of pinpointing trends that we can use for something quite insightful. And that's where big enterprises are using the data that they've already got, that they own, and trying to say, what can we do more with this data, and where can we get insights from this to help us grow further and to help provide a better service for our clients and our suppliers alike.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's one example of AI transforming supply chain or customer service that really stands out from your experience?
So we were doing a project with a charity recently, and one of the things that they were looking at was their replenishment.
Mhm.
And kind of how and when they replenish the goods and services to specific stores that they had around, and they'd really leaned into AI to understand, okay, well, are there certain seasons or certain times in the year that things are sold more frequently than others? So, umbrellas, for example. Do we need umbrellas in May, June, and July, or actually are they more prevalent in October, November, and December? And it was looking at these trends of when things are bought and just different information that they use to guide when to replenish the stores. And it might sound really obvious. Why would you sell loads of umbrellas in the summer? But if you take that use case and you spread that around the number of products and services that they have within their stock, and you kind of extrapolate that across that just drives more efficiency, and means that in the summer when there's a certain amount of floor space, you don't want to be packing it up with umbrellas. You want to be packing it up with, I don't know, flip-flops or whatever, because actually that's the that's the product at the time. So that's just
Yeah,
helping to kind of use information that's already been part of your business, and that you're seeing to just help you be a little bit more efficient.
yeah. And so if you're, we've got this technology now, were there individuals that would do this kind of analysis previously? Are we kind of, is that AI then replacing those people? I know AI is generating lots of positions as well, but is is AI replacing individuals within businesses who are
I
working in
would
this area?
I wouldn't say so. And I know there are two schools of thought on this, but I wouldn't say so, because what I always say is that actually you still need humans for context. You still
Yeah,
need humans for that kind of that emotional engagement. Is there political engagement? What's there are nuances that only humans understand, and at the end of the day, it's humans that are working with AI to get
Yeah,
these insights.
yeah,
So no, I would say that it's the collaboration between humans and AI that actually are going to provide the most efficiencies. And that's my view today. That might change going forward, but yeah, as of right now, you kind of do need people who have got that context and that understanding to be able to at least prompt and build what these AI agents look like before that they kind of take over the world, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. And it's definitely created a lot more job opportunities anyway, from my perspective and what I've seen in the recruitment industry. Um, so what misconceptions do enterprise leaders still have about adopting AI effectively?
So one thing, a really interesting thing that I read in a book I read from Pascal Bornet was the notion that AI should be AI kind of agents and apps should be built within one specific kind of area of the enterprise. So if I give you an example, accounts payable,
Yeah,
people might just build it for that specific accounts payable area, but actually AI is a lot more beneficial when you broaden it across a number of different services. And actually, just having it in one area is a good way to test it and make sure that actually people are comfortable with it, etc., and you can work together with it. But the more value is from the breadth that it creates. And obviously people get a little bit scared about whether or not, they want it to be so broad. But there's definitely a correlation between how broad that your kind of your implementation is and kind of how useful it can be, I think.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So what are the most impactful ways you're seeing small businesses and creators use AI today?
So I think this has been an absolute game changer for small businesses. If you think about kind of before we had access to a lot of these tools, you know, if you're a kind of a small business and you're having to generate copy for marketing, or you're having to come up with different ways of posting to social media, or you're having to I mean, we've got myself and my wife run an animation YouTube channel, and AI has been absolutely crucial in helping us kind of level up a little bit in terms of, like I say, the marketing, generating copy, and just creating a number of different services that we just simply wouldn't have had the time or the resources to be able to do. And I mean, I think of tools like InVideo and Leonardo and Halo and Suno and Lovable and all these other tools that are just leveling up, and it's really about trying to use those as best as you can. So I mean, for small business and creators, it's probably a bit of a dream right now for certain things that people have got access to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can vouch for that as a small business myself. It's just myself and one employee, but I've managed to, yeah, run this, and AI has been so helpful. And I don't think that without AI, it could have been, as successful as it has been. And like you say, with the market, it's the marketing for me.
Yeah,
Just being able to, yeah, come up with, not just come up with ideas, but yeah, and with the podcast as well. I can put this podcast into a particular AI tool, and it can create me 10 shorts, and it can create me my LinkedIn posts, and it can create articles, and just give me so much content, which I would have to employ somebody to do all of that for me. So yeah, it's been so helpful for me as my
I
small
bet.
business. You mentioned that you and your wife run a small, what was it? Sorry, YouTube channel?
It's a small YouTube channel, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can you tell me a bit about that?
So it's called Teddy Eddie TV.
Okay.
And what it was, and you'll be able to relate to this, it was born out of the fact that my eldest daughter Zara at one point just did not want to eat her vegetables. She just wasn't having it. And
Yeah.
we were kind of, and at the time I was reading a book by Mike Konings on AI and what you can use it for. And I had a chat with my wife and said, wouldn't it be awesome to kind of make some kind of video or animation that makes vegetables cool? And we
Okay.
we we did this video called Veggie Boogie, and put it on YouTube, of like vegetables dancing and having a good time and making them seem cool and whatnot. And she absolutely loved it. She really,
Yeah.
really loved it. And we kind of thought, you know what? That didn't take us that long. It was we used a few tools. We used Suno and Leonardo and Halo were the kind of three main tools that we used. Took us we did it probably in an evening, to be honest. I used CapCut for a bit of editing. Showed it to Zara, and she absolutely loved it. I mean, in terms of the objective, she's not the biggest when it comes to vegetables, but
Yeah,
it was something that at least got her excited. And we just said, let's just carry on and let's do something that kind of helps parents with children similar ages to just kind of make things a little bit easier. So
yeah,
our kind of view and our niche is some of the more difficult things like brushing your teeth before bed and
yeah.
getting ready for school and all those kind of things that as parents we find quite difficult to get our children to do, just to try and bring a bit more fun to it where we can and get them more interested. So yeah, that's what we're working on at the moment.
I definitely need to check that out. And if there's any videos on making them, remain asleep all night,
Well,
I'd be up for that one as well.
I don't know if I can get that, but I'll
There's,
try. I'll put it
there's
on the
no
list.
miracles. There's no miracles.
I'll put it on
Okay.
the backlog, Sarah.
Um, so do you think AI is leveling the playing field for smaller organizations or raising expectations?
It's a good question. I think there's probably a bit from column A and column B in that it's leveling the playing field in that it's giving people the capacity more than anything
Yeah.
else. So there's always the notion that actually you as a kind of a business owner are able to get the smaller things done and more of the admins done by AI, which gives you
Hmm.
more opportunity to look at it from a strategy perspective and spend your time in a better place. The expectation thing is quite difficult because you subscribe or you use, I don't know, Opus clips or something like that to, like you're saying, to help provide you with better clips and stuff like that. And I guess it can raise the expectation level in terms of the marketing of these companies and the fact that they've kind of got this freemium type way of selling products. So it can raise the expectation level a bit, but I think ultimately I'd probably side on the leveling the playing field, to be honest, because just giving you that time back and that capacity to allow you to think more strategically about where you want to take your business, I think is really the crucial step.
Yeah. So is there a particular course that you would recommend for somebody like me in a small business? Is there, yeah, anything that you would recommend us looking into? Because I
So
mean, I think my level of knowledge doesn't go any further than Copilot and ChatGPT.
mm,
Just being completely honest. Whereas you've mentioned all these other tools today, which I've never heard of. So, and you mentioned that you did a course, is there anything that you would recommend?
yeah, so I mean, from a Microsoft perspective, and it was a really good introduction for
Mhm.
me, was the Azure Fundamentals AI 900, which was, like I say, it was just something I wanted to do just to get the certificate and kind of understand it a little bit. That kind of introduced me to a lot of different concepts that at a high level that I felt like I wanted to understand more.
Yeah.
So then I really went on. It was more a reading journey than it
Yeah.
was a course journey, and I've kind of mentioned some books around. Pascal Bornet
Okay.
did a book, looking for the notes, called, I think it's Artificial Intelligence, um, and it really is about kind of the use of agentic AI and almost bridging Gen AI, generative AI, and what we would kind of look at with Chat GPT or Gemini or Cloud or Copilot, and really kind of marrying that with RPA and taking the good thinking that a Gen AI agent does, bridging that with RPA and having something that can think and execute at the same time. And that is definitely the next part of the next chapter of where we're going, that we're not just asking Gemini to do something for us in terms of give us some information, but we're actually asking it to execute on our behalf as well. And there was a really interesting story in that book where he almost talks about, if we take Brian, I think he gave the example of, Brian's gone onto Gemini or Chat GPT and has asked them to um, come up with a itinerary for a holiday to the Caribbean or whatever. What it's going to do, essentially, it's going to give you all of the different things that you could do. You can go to that place there, you can do this and that at that time. But what it's not doing is fact checking whether or not it's open, How much is it going to cost?
Mm.
Is it still available at that time of year? It's not going to do that. It's just going to come up with this really, really interesting strategy. And actually, it's the human who's going to have to go around and click on all of the different links and find out whether or not it's open. You bridge that Gen AI with RPA and the robotics around it, and you say, not only do I want you to come up with the itinerary, but I want you to book the holiday for me as well. And that's the next place that we're going, essentially,
Okay.
where it's coming up with everything. So really, really interesting time. And the Gen AI is one thing, but the agentic side of it is really crucial as well. And then there are a number of other texts, like I talk about Mike Konings, who wrote a book called the AI Accelerator,
Yeah.
and that's really where he starts to introduce the different types of tools and use cases. And I kind of talked about some of them, Lovable, Suno, Halo. But there are things like Gamma as well, which is a tool for like slides, essentially. So coming up really, really good, powerful presentations that look really good. It's not something that should ever be used at a company that I work at, like PwC or any of the other consultancies. But again, as a kind of small to medium business owner, being able to come up with a concept and prompt a tool to do something for you, and then be given an output of these beautiful slides that look really quite impactful and powerful, can only be helpful for like I say, for small and medium business owners to help level up again.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Um, so from your vantage point, how are Gen AI and Copilot empowering individual contributions in their day-to-day work?
So, I mean, there are so many things and use cases that Gen AI and Copilot, particularly within the workplace, do. So, one of them I always think about is the basic one, like meeting agendas, emails, just support with admin tasks that we always use. There's a function that I used recently on Microsoft Teams called Facilitator. I don't know if you've used it yet.
No, I
Really quite,
haven't.
it was literally only a month or two ago. It's probably been there for ages, but where provided a kind of meeting objective, some agendas that you've given, the attendance, and I think the length of the meeting, it will in the background record the conversation, the transcript, and what's being said, and it will say, okay, well, welcome to the meeting, Sarah. This is what we want to get out of it. Here are the points that you want to cover. In the first 10 minutes, you should go through all of the different options. In the next 10 minutes, you should go into detail as to one of the options. And then in the last 10 minutes, what it will do is it will almost prompt you to say, well, here was the agenda. You've only discussed two of the options. You probably need to get to the third option and then wrap up. And it's kind of gently prompting you in the background just to make your meeting more efficient where it possibly can.
Okay.
So that I thought was pretty awesome, and
So
definitely a feature worth checking out.
is it like a pop-up or something, like a
Kind
chat
of,
box?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It,
okay.
it kind of just comes up in the background and says, right, Sarah, you probably need to
Like
move on to this
you're
section.
waffling.
You're
You're
waffling,
waffling. Stop.
crack on, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So really, really good for that.
Okay. Microsoft Facilitator. Okay, I'll have a look at that. Yeah.
Really good bit of kit that.
Amazing.
I use it quite a lot as a bit of a troubleshooting partner.
Yeah.
So, I work a lot with Power BI and a lot with Azure DevOps, and those are kind of the main tools that I work with. There are different, if you like, queries and programming languages that both of those two use. On Power BI, DAX is the program that's used, and I am not a programmer at all. I'm a project manager, so I haven't got a clue. Being able to work with Copilot to say, look, I need to understand this query or this formula on Excel. How does that work? Or I need to be able to do that on a particular item. And it just basically understanding it, regurgitating what you need to do and helping you out where possible, game changer. Because again, that's providing me time to be able to at times copy and paste a command, help me get a bit of work done really quickly, and spend my time focusing on the higher value things. So things like that. And I just think coming up with ideas sometimes, when you've been given a task and you don't quite know how to formulate it in your head, and you can kind of almost provide it with this view that says, I've been given this task, I don't quite understand what to do about it. It needs to encapsulate these three things. I've had a bit of a thinking it might look like that. being able to synthesize that all into it to a prompt and get a query that, if you like, provides you with that first draft to then get going and refine it and make it more suitable for your audience. Again, game changer, and so
Yeah.
really, really helpful for those types of things.
And does AI ever get it wrong?
So unfortunately, yes. So
Because you're putting a lot of, it's like, I'm not a developer, so if I was to put something in, I wouldn't know if it was right or it was wrong anyway. So, you're putting a lot of trust into that, and it's not a person. So, yeah, I just wondered whether it goes wrong sometimes.
it can do. So there's obviously this notion of hallucination, if you like,
Yeah,
and where AI prompts and AI tools can come up with things that aren't necessarily wrong, but they kind of are in the sense that if you imagine you've got a chat open with Chat GPT and you've been talking about preparing for this podcast as an example,
yeah,
that specific chat gets into such a, if you like, recency biased about all of the things that you've been discussing, that if
yeah,
you try and bring something else into the conversation, it almost can't think outside of that box, if you like,
yeah,
and it provides and generates hallucinations based purely off the conversation that you've had. And that will grow and that will change, and there will be different Gen AI providers out there that will be able to get around those items. But as users of AI, we need to be conscious about that, and we need to
yeah,
fact check everything that comes out. And ethics is hugely important, and being transparent is hugely important. Just to ensure that if you are using the output of AI, that you're just being upfront about it where you possibly can. But
yeah,
especially in my line of work, fact checking
yeah,
is so important, to make sure that you're getting the 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 output that you need and things are accurate.
yeah. Yeah, excellent. So you mentioned Power BI, which leads on to my next question. How is AI changing the skill landscape for people who rely on tools like Power BI, Python, or Excel?
So this I think this is a crucial one because this can potentially be quite divisive in that a Python or a Power BI expert, um, you can almost feel a little bit threatened that is AI coming to do what I do. And I do see them as two separate things, because there are Power BI developers that I worked with that, in my opinion, can never be replaced,
Yeah,
because they understand the whole kind of context and kind of solution architecture and infrastructure around something. When it comes to I use it specifically as a way to troubleshoot a specific problem. And a seasoned Power BI developer probably wouldn't even need that, to be honest.
yeah,
So I think again, it goes up to the term that you used before around leveling up. I think it's really crucial for leveling up and getting people who perhaps have that base kind of beginner skill set to a point where they can at least, if you like, sustain what they need to do, from a more skilled perspective.
yeah. Okay. So what advice would you give to someone who feels intimidated by these tools?
So my advice is to learn, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think with everything, and history over millions of years has always come up with kind of revolutionary technology, and kind of ways of working. And we're always going to feel threatened by something, because as humans, we don't necessarily like change. We kind of like the way that we work today. But I think it's here to stay. It's only going to get bigger. It's only gonna get better. And the key for me is education. And
yeah,
what I find, I will definitely say I was slightly intimidated by it when it kind of, not necessarily when it came out, but when it obviously got a lot more kind of popular, and we kind of started talking about it a lot more at work, etc. It's all about educating yourself, because there are two schools of thought. There's kind of the thought that, one, it's going to take over, and one, only people who understand AI will take over. And who knows where we're going to fall within that particular that particular dilemma. But either way, educating yourself about it, understanding, using some of the tools, and you know what, getting some of your time back, essentially, I think are going to be absolutely crucial.
yeah, absolutely. So we've already sort of touched on this a little bit, but what are some of the small practical ways you use AI in your personal life? You've obviously mentioned the YouTube channel and the educating your daughter on broccoli and other vegetables.
She still
But
doesn't eat.
yeah, it just is what it is, isn't it?
Yep.
But is there any other ways that you use it in your personal life?
So many, so many.
Yeah.
It pretty much runs my life now, to be honest. So little things like home recipes, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
I will always say, oh, I've seen this out and about, and I'd like to try and make it. And
Yeah.
these are the ingredients I've got. Can you help me with that? And it will often do it. Managing family and holiday schedules. So
Yeah.
again, talking about things like when you go abroad and you've kind of got all this time and you don't know what to do and you've got a young family and you've got to build in nap times because that's crucial, and we want to do this but we want to do that, but we've got a nap time at that particular time. Take the pain away from it, have a conversation with AI, and again use it as that first draft, if you like,
Yeah.
notwithstanding the fact that sometimes again things need to be checked. um I use it quite a lot for like I run quite a lot, and little things like the temperature is X, what do I need to wear on a run type kind of thing. So I use it for that daily, which is not the best use of AI, but it's there, and I
I mean,
do.
that's pretty basic, but whatever
Very
works.
basic. Yeah, yeah. It's -4. What should I wear? Clothes. It's what
Yeah.
you should wear. All of the clothes because it's freezing. One thing is, and you might be able to resonate with this, but children, and
Yeah.
when they have big feelings, big emotional feelings, and discipline and punishment and all this type of thing. Sometimes what's the right thing to do, and it can be. And again, you've got to take the output with a pinch of salt. But at the time, it can be quite helpful to say, "Have I handled that right? Could I have done things a different way?" And it's just it can be quite a good, if you like, artificial friend to lean on to check that you've
Yeah.
done something right.
It's like I'll put it in and say, oh, could I have handled this differently? And you explain the situation, and it's like ChatGPT, it hears you. I'm like, Chat, it sees me because it will
Yeah,
say, I can understand why you've acted in that way. It's really hard. I'm like, thank you.
this is it.
And then it gives you great tips and ways of looking at things and how you can approach many situations. It could be friend situations, family situations, and how you can show up with love and kindness. I can say to ChatGPT, this has really annoyed me because of
Mm.
X, Y, Z, and they'll say, okay, well, let's look at it from this perspective. And I find that it's simmered me down in a few situations recently. But yeah, absolutely with parenting. But yeah, I love it. Um, Right, okay. So do you think that people underestimate how much AI can reduce the mental load of daily routines?
I think so. I think so. I think there as humans, we are naturally problem solvers, and
Mhm.
I'm sure it's a chemical thing. We naturally kind of get dopamine from solving problems quite a lot. So it's what we look to do. And if you like, outsourcing that sometimes can almost feel a little bit like a shortcut. But my thing really is about how to use your time as efficiently and effectively as you can. And if you can be spending your time doing something that's going to provide more value to you, more value to your business, more value to your family, if it allows you to spend more time with your children, for example, because you're not, having to sit at a table on a Sunday lunchtime and write the meal plan for the rest of the week, you can just throw that into Gemini and it can do it for you. Then why wouldn't you? Type kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, absolutely. I guess it's just going back to educating yourselves, isn't it? Not everybody is educated on this. We work in tech, so it's quite natural to us. But my mum, for example, who's not in tech, she's not putting recipes through ChatGPT. So I think it's just everybody catching up and learning about it. And they'd be learning about it. I'm sure they are learning about it at schools and in school, sorry. And yeah, okay. So last couple of questions. So you've said AI is mandatory now. What does that mean to you in the context of work and home?
So, so for me, I guess when I use the term mandatory, it's that it's here to
Yeah,
stay. It's not a buzzword. It's not something that's going to kind of come in 1 year and then in 2 years we're going to be talking about, oh, remember that thing AI that died a death? It's not going to die a death. It's
no,
going to be here forever. So,
yeah,
I almost kind of think like I say around education. Anybody who comes to me nowadays and says, or kind of comes to the firm and says, well, what are the things that I need to be learning about? Are there courses that I need to be doing? I will always say, kind of learn what you do, learn what your kind of main skill set is. If you're a developer, then that's what you should be focusing on. If you're a functional consultant, then obviously get those skills in to make sure that you're comfortable talking with clients about that. But AI is here to stay, so make sure that you're educated and you understand the concepts of AI. Um, and that's kind of where I talk about the mandatory side, just because it's here. It's going to do more, like I say, I talk about that agentic piece, which when you think about Agent Force and other tools like that, they are here, they are being used, and they are doing quite a lot of the tasks and jobs that we probably in our head think that humans are doing right now.
Mhm.
So yeah, educate at the moment is my view. And look, I use resources. People learn in different ways. There are courses, there are books, there are a million videos on YouTube
Mhm.
to kind of help, break it down in a different way. People kind of, like I say, learn in different ways. It doesn't all have to be kind of really thick textbooks and stuff like that. Just, check out a video on YouTube and get it in that way. What I will say, and this always happens with technology to some extent, but I guess some of the language used can be quite difficult to get your head around it. It feels a little bit too techy, and
Yeah.
when you kind of really get into something and you understand it, it's never as scary as it seems at first.
Yeah.
So that would kind of be my tip, really, just to people who feel a little bit intimidated about the language being used, to just stick with it, because
Yeah.
it will come clear eventually.
Yeah. Well, my last question was going to be, what's the one message you want listeners to take away from this conversation? But I think you've answered that really. I would say it's educate. Is there
Educate.
anything else you want to add at all, that
Um,
anybody we could take away?
do you know what? It's educate, and I guess the next step is to just have a play with this stuff.
Yeah.
To kind of look at one area of your life or your work or play, and kind of say, is there something that I repeat a lot? Or is there something that I could get a little bit of a benefit for, because actually it's a little bit taxing doing that all the time. And
Mm.
just have a play with stuff and see the value. You were talking, for example, about the clips that you use for this podcast. Having a play with that kind of gives you a an introduction to it, if you like, and then you
Yeah.
can almost say, well, that was really helpful for that. What else can I be doing?
Yeah.
Is there something else that is quite admin heavy and time heavy that I can be using for something else? And I think that, just like I say, having a play and getting used to something can be really, really quite beneficial as well.
Curious. And I guess you don't need to spend lots of money either. Like you say, there's lots of videos, millions of videos on YouTube that you can watch for free. I quite like to learn from books, so I might buy the book that you suggested. And then obviously people in your kind of field may do a course, but yeah, you don't have to spend lots of money. So no,
Exactly.
it's been really, really insightful. Thank you. I've actually learnt a lot myself. So I will be looking up the course and some of the books, and seeing where I can use it in my business. But hopefully that's very educational for lots of people that are listening on the show. So thank you so much, Dwayne. I've really enjoyed having you on. Is there anything else you'd like to add at all?
No, no, I think it's been really, really helpful. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, appreciate the conversation. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thank you so much. And to all the listeners, you can catch this on Spotify or YouTube. Do follow D365 Insights by Source and Connect on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.